at the Riverdome Stadium and talk about the Gamecocks a little bit. First of all, actually, our coach that recruits this area, my son Steve Jr., I told him I'd bring him up briefly just to tell you a little bit about what you can do in recruiting, what you can't do. It's always, I think, informative that our boosters know a little bit about that. But also, he's now the recruiting coordinator. He's been here 7 years since I've been here. And big reason we got Brandon Shell. He recruits this area. We got the best lineman in the state of South Carolina, and Brandon Shell. So I'm going to bring up Steve Jr. to talk just a couple minutes.
Yeah! All right, thank you very much. What you can do and what you can't do. You can't do anything illegal. What you can do is support the Gamecocks. Come to the games, be loud, make noise. You know, it's amazing what fans support when we bring recruits into the stadium and they see a full stadium, people yelling and screaming, and such a great game. The atmosphere is tough to beat there, as you know. Support the program in all you can do. But it's helped a lot with Brandon Shelf. He always wanted to be a Gamecock. South Carolina has always been strong in this area, Charleston area, and he and the coaches from his school have always talked about that. Gamecocks are everywhere down here, and that's always a great sign. Hopefully we can continue to recruit down here in the low country. But one thing I did want to say is our commitment to recruiting the state of South Carolina is huge. We know if we can sign the best players in this state, and there's a lot of great football players in the state of South Carolina, if we can sign those guys every year, we're going to have a chance to play in that SEC championship a lot more. And if you win that, you got a chance to play for the national championship every year like the last 5 years have done. That's certainly one of our goals. But proud to be a Gamecock. It's never been a better time to be a Gamecock. It's never been a better time to be the recruiting coordinator. And winning has a great impact on recruiting, and recruiting has a great impact on winning. So hopefully we can keep that up as we go on here. All right, thank you very much.
Just briefly talk about last year, talk about recruiting, then I'll talk about next year a bit. But also, we got a couple of local players, the all-SEC defensive end, Devin Taylor. Where's Devin at? Devin, there he is right here. And Brian Jericho, defensive tackle. We expect Devin to have a big year this year. And also, Jericho's going to be ready to play. So appreciate you guys coming. And I think a little later, they're going to bring y'all up to say a few words after I get through, okay? Give Devin a good hand. Bring a good hand again. Good work. He's gained about 20 pounds, I think, since spring practice started. So he doesn't look like a basketball player anymore. But had a super year. Of course, the big pick against Tennessee that really set that victory up for us and so forth. But anyway, just briefly about last year. It was a good year, but it wasn't any great year. We lost our last 2 games in the Georgia Dome, and for us to have the big year, got to win that game there. Got to win that game and win the bowl game wherever it may be. So we did some good things, though. Obviously, winning the Eastern Division, beating Alabama, #1 team in the country, and so forth. Yeah! Were huge for us. But what's also been very important the last 2 years, our home record is 6-1. 6-1 both years, and that's because you people here, almost every player that signed with us this year said, I was at that Alabama game, and the energy, the excitement in the stadium was unbelievable. I want to be a part of that. So you people create that when you come to the ballpark, screaming and yelling, and making it very difficult for our opponents. So we're 12-2 at home last 2 years. And we're going to try to go 7-0 if we can this year. That's one of our goals, is to win them all this year. But anyway, it was a good year, but it wasn't, winning the East was obviously first time, and we had some firsts, but our goals are higher. And we got a team coming this year that has a chance. Briefly about recruiting, I talked briefly about Brandon Shell. Obviously the #1 recruit in America, Jadavion Clowney's coming. And we've signed Mr. Football in our state the last 3 years. Stephon Gilmore, Marcus Lattimore, and now Jadavion. So we're doing a good job in our state. And basically winning and just selling SEC, selling University of South Carolina, you fans, and we're all in it together and so forth. It gives us a chance. We're not there yet, but we're sort of fighting our way to the top. And hopefully we're going to be there real soon. Maybe this year, maybe the next year. But we do have a lot of talented players, I think a little bit more than we've had in the past. So anyway, recruiting was very good this past year. and hopefully should be good as we go on. Talking briefly about next year. Next year, offensively, we return most of our guys. We lost some offensive linemen, two really good ones, Jarrell King and Garrett Chisholm, both from the low country here. And even though those players weren't drafted, I think they'll have a chance to sign a free agent contract with some NFL team and have a chance to make a team. Both those guys played well for us. So we'll have some new guys in there, but we think we've signed some good players that are going to fill in very well in the offensive line. A lot of times when I introduce Steve Jr., he says, just tell people I'm the coach of Sidney Rice, Kenny McKinley, and Alshon Jeffrey. So anyway, I tell people we got the best wide receiver in the country in Alshon Jeffrey, and the best running back in Marcus Lattimore. So, one of the best defensive ends in Devin Taylor. Hopefully next year I can call him the best after next season, Devin. One of the best right now. But anyway, we do have a lot of good players returning on offense. Our quarterback situation, Stephen Garcia, will probably sort of be on a probationary status, see if he can sort of clean up his act a little bit through the summer, and we'll see where he is. But Connor Shaw is a very capable young man, and if he's our quarterback, we'll have full confidence in him, and away we'll go. So offensively, again, with the running back, the receiver, quarterback, offensive line, we got a chance. We got a chance to do well. Defensively, Devin, most of the guys are back. Cliff Matthews is probably the biggest loss on defense, one of our captains and leading tacklers and so forth. But most of the guys are back. I think we're really going to be helped with Shaq coming back, our middle linebacker. He was our leading tackler a year ago, pulled a hamstring, and was not able to play this past year. So when he comes back in the middle there, I think it's going to really help our defense. But again, defensively, offensively, we both finished 7th in the SEC. We were not a dominant team last year. We were a middle-of-the-pack bunch of guys, really. Our third down defense was not very good, and offensively, we didn't make as many yards as 6 other teams did. So we got a ways to go before we think we're, one of the top teams in the conference. Our kicking game, we lost one of the best punter kickers we've had there in Spencer Lanning. Excellent kicker. In fact, the most valuable player in the Clemson game this past year. So we got to replace him. Jay Wooten will probably be our kicker and maybe our punter. Patrick Fish is another young man that may be able to do that for us. But again, we're looking forward to the summer. We got 2 big months, June, July. The guys come in, work out on their own, and hopefully really get prepared for a big year. But again, we do have, I think, a lot of good players ready to go. And we'll see what happens this coming year. First game is East Carolina in Charlotte, and then we go to Georgia. So we open on the road, a couple of games, and then we got 4 straight at home, 3 on the road, and 3 at home. So it's sort of an interesting schedule there. So we need to obviously open well and keep going throughout the course of the season. But again, our team may be picked, may be picked at the top of the East simply because Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia struggled last year. But we're not a dominant team. Our guys have got a ways to go. I tell people, somebody said, how'd you win at Florida almost all the time? I said, our offense was almost first in the league almost every year, and our defense was first, second, or third, something like that. So when you got to, and that's the way Alabama's been. They're usually first in defense and near the top in offense and stuff like that. So you need to sort of dominate people. We've not done that. We've not done that well at all yet. We struggled against the Vandy's. Kentucky beat us last year. We got a ways to go before we think we're a real championship team yet. So anyway, but we're looking forward to it, and we appreciate all the support that all of you give us. And we won't be at home till the 3rd game of the season, so may not see you till then, but maybe we'll see you in Charlotte. Big game in Charlotte, East Carolina, September the 3rd, I think. Okay? All right, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Coach.